district to look at the alternatives that are available, and one of them will involve a nonprofit, and there are requirements the nonprofit must meet, and we will be working through the school district on that.
I have a design construction question for you. How do you intend to start breaking ground in December?
The goal is the buildings will be vacated in, I believe, 1st of October. And we will start demolition of the building shortly thereafter, which will be the first phase of construction. And as the demolition progresses, then we will hope to be able to start actual new construction on the new building in the month of December.
There is no lower levels, there's no maintenance or anything.
What is still got the 40 inches down with a little cross there?
Correct. Yeah. This building will take more than a year to build, and we as an organization are Minnesota builders, and we build right through the winter. You raised your hand. In the back.
We'll talk a little bit about the parking lot entrance, exit, how the flow is going to be for the parking off of the streets, things like that.
Can you go back a couple slides?
I think it's one more. There. I think the first thing to say is this is the initial plan that we have provided to the city and are working through the city standards and guidelines and side yards and setbacks and stuff. And so they have already directed us as far as modifications they would like to see. So where this is our original concept, I'll let Todd speak to it, as we work with the city planning staff, we already know that there will be some changes to this.
Just really quickly for accesses, we have no access off Broadway. We think that's probably not a great place to have a drive aisle mid-block. We have on Fremont, we have a right-in, right-out. It's a one-way street right here. We have 2 curb cuts for parking on Girard with the adjacent parking between Broadway and 21st. And then on our adjacent lot, all our access is off Girard. We're showing currently a spot here and a drive aisle here. Currently right now, if you were to look, there's a large gates sitting here and sitting here because at one time when it was a school, they actually closed off this portion of the road because no one else needed access to it from a driveway to get the kids back and forth. So we'd like to get most people onto Girard and then flow from there to the larger feeder roads. We have done a traffic demand management plan with this configuration, and all the intersections will function at the same level and quality that they do today.
Visitor parking would be where?
Visitor parking hasn't been identified. Right now we're looking at this, depending on the specific locations of certain things, to be adjacent here towards the front of the building. We'll also probably want to have some parking stalls for 15-minute drop-off. Like I said, this is a resource for the greater district. We have a service center on the first floor, which basically represents like various departments of the building. So if you're an employee and you have a specific issue, maybe for HR, where you come here, you do a 15-minute parking, you can go in, address the issue, and leave.
I got here a little late, and I was just wondering, do you have any interior design or sketches yet that you're doing from the actual layout of the building from the interior?
We do have sketches of the interiors. They're still in flux, and until we get approval from the school district, we're not sharing them publicly because they're not sort of reasonably finalized. But we're hoping in a subsequent meeting to present those. Yeah. The first floor, the first floor is really where all the public activity is going on.
And just to help out a little bit, the first floor will be mostly designed around community boardrooms, conference tent rooms, and things like that. The rest of the floors where the where there'll be, much fewer offices and more cubicles and an open area design.
This is a question directed towards MPS. Earlier in the presentation, there was a mention of a hub for all members of the community. If I'm correct, there's more than 3/4 of the existing staff over Northeast that live outside of the city of Minneapolis. Is that correct?
The staff lives out, I can't tell you.
The employees.
I can't.
Based on the employees moving here, do you know what that ratio is?
No, I have not. I assume that the existing employees will be here, that we have a
Sure.
set.
I think if I'm correct, I believe, looking at previous documents, it was close to 3/4 of the employees that lived out of the community. Is there a long-term strategy in regards to providing incentives for individuals that do work for the Minneapolis Public Schools to eventually move into the communities where there's vacant homes or vacant lots that can potentially house some of these new employees? And in addition to that, is there any relationships with Don Samuels in regards to building some type of tax incentives for those potential residents of Minneapolis?
So I know of no incentives to do any of that that you're talking about, nor I don't know that we're adding more employees because of this process either. So you're going to see them come from 4 different locations into one.
Sure.
So that increases the size of the building, but we're not adding employees at this point.
Sure.
I mean, your point that you're bringing up was also brought up in Jordan last night, where someone really, and Don Samuels was there and suggested that there is some sort of program or some incentive to have employees who will come to this building look at purchasing homes within the near community.
What I'm really trying to get at is that this is really truly a hub for the residents as well as potential residents. There should be an early process in how you map that out for the long-term goals of the community. And being that this is a commercial hub, building any potential relationships earlier on in the process would definitely help heighten this area in regards to revitalization.
So I'll bring that up to the people on our staff. Good idea that you mentioned.
Now, I understand it's not in the MPS's scope of work, but it would be a nice incentive for the community.
Right. Good idea.
Well, thank you. We will be here. If people want to come forward and talk a little bit, but we appreciate you coming tonight. And we will be back in the next 30 to 60 days to provide updates and talk about how we're progressing, hopefully into demolition and construction. So, thank you.